Good morning. So this should maybe be a quick one. I wanted to come to Chicago and do a flight. I haven't really done a lot of DLC, but I saw one that looked kind of intriguing and fun. And that is the Airbus H135, which is a beautiful helicopter. And I have not gone in and done any configuration with any of the flight controls or anything like that. I just installed the helicopter and pretty much loaded the game, and I'm loving these liveries. These look awesome. I'm gonna go with this one. There is a bit of a manual that comes with it, and I, in all honesty, probably should try that out, but mostly I just wanted to see what this thing looks like in game. I'm not really too terribly concerned if it doesn't fly quite right yet, because the developers don't have helicopters in this yet, and it's probably going to be another year before we get helicopters, I hope. Unfortunately, I say I hope because they can't fix anything else that we would like to have fixed, but anyway. So I'm curious to see how this is actually going to work within the existing flight model and see kind of what it does. I would assume that the rudder is mapped to tail rotor and all the standard stuff like in FSX and all the other flight simulators prior that had helicopters in them, where the basic flight controls were the same either way. I don't think there should be anything major to do with the collective. It's just throttle up and down, see kind of what it does. So I'm not sure. We will see. It is kind of nice that as this loads some of the hints, there's a lot of new ones now for the H135, which is kind of cool. I wonder if it's just because I selected it or if it's because it's new in there. Well, what a heck of a load time. Wow. FPS is in the toilet, holy cow. Okay, from a model perspective, it looks fantastic. Funny how the game thinks I'm sitting on the taxiway ready to go in. I have no idea what that is. Definitely takes time for the rotors to spin up, which is awesome. This will be an awesome one in VR. Alright, let's zoom in and see what we got here. So we've got lots of flight controls. I know most of these don't work yet from reading the thing, so the collective itself does nothing. The flight computer does, because they just kind of lifted the existing one in, which is fine. I'm not sure what does what on any of these things. Okay. Two engines. Okay. Whoa, hello. Okay, I was not expecting that to happen. Let me grab the controller real quick. Okay, controls are for the most part right. I'm drifting a little bit and getting some vibration, which is weird. Okay, so first thing I've noticed is that even though I did it in the last playthrough, my flippin' dead zones got reset yet again. That is so agitating. Those dead zones need to be set or I'm gonna be in a lot of trouble. This stick, I don't care if there's a dead zone on that one. Apply and save yet again. Okay. Caught in my headset cord. Okay, let's offset that back drift. Come on, go the other way now. Let's Weird. Every time I seem to change directions a little bit, I get an odd little bit of lag. Now, I've not touched any control but forward to backward at the moment, so let's see if I can... Yep, I'm throttling down a little bit with the collective. Nice, easy touchdown. That's not bad. Alright, this is very twitchy, but not bad. Loving how this thing looks. This is such a sweet helicopter. Now let's see, where's Chicago? Off to my right. And O'Hare's in front of me. Alright, so... I don't think I'm going to be able to fly this from inside just yet, so let's throttle up carefully. Doesn't have a lot of upward momentum. Okay, so flight controls are as expected, but they've got kind of a dead zone to where I would expect a little more drift when I shut the rear rotor, stop it moving in that direction. So as far as drift and everything goes, it does a great job of being a helicopter, but it doesn't quite fly right. My altitude's going down. That's easily fixed. I must say, though, I am enjoying this helicopter. This is a great way to get down here and see how garbage the textures are. I wish I could make them better. Alright, now let's sacrifice some of the... Wow, that drops fast. Okay, so I don't think I need the collective up at full. I'm going to gain altitude very quickly here. Does feel pretty stable when I angle forward, but it also kind of feels like it's pulling back a little bit on its own. So I'll angle forward, I'll see my vertical speed start to drop, and then it slowly starts to tick back up like the nose is being pulled back. Hey, the trains are 3D, that's nice. Make a slight deviation here. I want to see what this is. Pull back on the stick a little bit. That's the most realistic rudder I've had to use in game thus far, even though it's on a non-fully functioning helicopter that's not properly in the game. Makes me laugh. What is this? This looks kind of like a, not a power plant per se, but a smelting facility or something. I guess it could be a power plant. Okay, let's head back over to Chicago. And again, this is literally the first time I have flown this helicopter. It flies... I mean, it's very intuitive. It is correct that all the controls do what they say they do, but like the helicopter kind of nosing up on its own is a little odd. Let me see if I can down trim that. I'm not sure I can. I'm at minus 12 on the trim now. Feels like it's kind of headed down a little bit. A little. I think it just like if I forward like a little. Really a bad thing. It just I would expect to have to set something like that so that it doesn't automatically do the nose up. It's very stable. I think it flies a lot more stable than any of the aircraft I've flown do. Ooh, wow, an old cathedral. Now that's cool. Let's see if we can, Oh boy, I overdid that one. Yeah, we're going down. Good thing I disabled crash. Okay, slow it down, slow it down. There we go. Okay, that was weird. That stalled out like an airplane. I'm trying to bring it in for a hover. Okay, that's a cool old church. Again, all of this is real time, so that was a very weird stall out. So like, this is as fast as I can rotate the rear rotors, and I know a helicopter can go faster than that. And as soon as I let go, 3, 2, 1, stop. Literally, the helicopter just stops rotating. It should have a little bit of a drift on it so that it wouldn't just quite screw out like that, and it would do a few other things. So this is good, and it is a great early version. I mean, they're not even at version 1 yet. This is 0.91. I waited a little while till they got a few of the other bugs ironed out, so I knew kind of what to expect on this from just watching it fly in their demo videos and stuff. But this is really kind of the first take I've had on it. Wow, it shoots up fast as all get out. So it's not bad. It's not as good as the stuff in FSX as far as flight controls go and the way it feels to fly. It does not feel quite right. That's why kind of when it stalled out, it's like I was flying in an airplane. I know a helicopter because I was shooting way high, so I pulled back on the collective probably a bit more than I should have. I didn't look at the percentage of thrust, which is probably not the right indicator, because again, the whole engine is set up for aircraft at the moment. So I'm at 87% of full power right now, and I'm barely hanging up. I would expect that with the collective at this position to be going up a little bit faster, because I'm not angled forward all that much. So I'm not entirely sure how realistic that position is. I'm sure the devs have thought about it, and I may just be out of touch a little bit. I have flown RC helicopters, Blade 453Ds, quadcopters, and other stuff, so I'm not entirely out of touch in understanding how the collective works and how the dynamics of flying a helicopter actually go. Ooh, another cool old church. But it just... something doesn't feel quite right. Like, I know helicopters don't just suck off the ground and go shooting sky high. Okay, now that's cool, seeing Target store. But I also do understand that these things, especially some like this, are not super weak and slow to respond or things like that. I would expect, yoinking on the collective, this thing would go up a little faster within reason. I mean, I'm not expecting it just to shoot sky high, but I would expect more than a 15 feet per minute type of elevation change. Alright, so now we are getting into town a little bit. Let's gain a bit of altitude, so I'm going to slow down by climbing up. Raise power up and see if I can gain altitude. See, that was a bit of a jump right there. Now we're going up at a much more reasonable level. That's much more what I would have expected originally. And I noticed that the throttle is also a lot more sluggish to respond, so it does seem that they have modified those input levels to be a lot more realistic with what I'm flying. So that is good to see the way it responds. Maybe it isn't quite as off as I thought it was. Maybe it's just I'm a noob with this aircraft. I think Trump Tower is down here somewhere. In fact, there it is. This thing. Let's slow down into a hover here. Okay, forward speed is slowing. Guess that's my stall indicator. I wonder if I can actually land on the roof of it. So let's throttle up here. Okay, this is collective at 100, and this seems to be slow again. This is what I mean. I'm going up at a very slow rate for having my collective at 100%. Again, I'm not expecting to just rocket sky high, but I've seen the I don't know the model, but they're kind of like the trainee helicopters that have the really high plate between the drive shaft and the rotor above the helicopter that have lifted off and gone higher faster than this. It's just kind of a little odd to me that this thing is so slow when it's one of these amazing types of helicopters. So, all right, let's carefully lower my collective. Yep, there's the stall indicating I'm going down. That is a bit disconcerting to feel, but it's also kind of nice. I don't know if there's really a helicopter pad up here or not, but I'm gonna pretend that there is. Normally when you land, you would kind of throttle up on the collective to give yourself a bit more offset, because it's really just changing the pitch of the rotor blades. You wouldn't necessarily throttle down, which is kind of what I have to do now to make it go down, and that's just, again, the flight model not being ready for it. Hey, we landed. Oh, the headlight's on. Nice. Odd that my camera can go in it, but hey. Alright, so that's kind of cool. That's a lot of fun to do. Alright, let's throttle up. We're at, let me see here. The lowest I can go is 60, which is kind of a very low idle, I would assume. So I landed at about 78, so I'm going to throttle this thing back up and let it go. And lift it off at 82, very, very slowly. We're going to just pitch forward a little bit, because I want to drop down and have a look at the river down below. On my, whoa. Very neat part of the river here. Oh, this is crazy to see this level of detail and number of buildings coming out of FSX and all the others when we used to launch out of MiGs over there, just to see the difference now. The reason I wanted to, oh my gosh, just stop talking. The reason I wanted to come here for the moment was that in Google Earth on my VR headset, I came to this part of the river just because there's a lot of restaurants and definition, and I had my daughter walking around in it, and that's kind of why I knew Trump Tower was right in this location. Alright, so we're coming low. Looks like one of the ferries is semi-transparent. But the level of three-dimensional detail here is what's really awesome to see. I wish the buildings looked a lot better. Some of them look really good, while others look kind of rough, and I know some of that's mapping and modeling, like that one there is kind of a little screwed up. Others are simply due to the fact that I'm unable to run it at higher resolution and graphics than I used to. Though with that said, I have been holding steady at about 20 FPS so far for this session once we got loaded in, which is really nice, because that's what really makes it playable, the smoothness, especially in a helicopter. Alright, let's throttle up before we hit the river. That ferry's got some issues. Alright, those cars look funny. Let's go out and check the boats. Wish they'd fix these bridges. Like, if it's going over water, you should be able to do something a little better about it. Nifty Park or Fair. I remember flying around here as a kid, going out to the baseball stadium and the football stadiums, landing in them. Ooh. Flag out. Another ferry. Oil boat or fishing trawler off to my right. You can't see it, but I'm going to come out here and take a look at this guy. Okay, I'm going to slow my speed down a bit because I need to pull up. This looks like a gas tanker. I don't know, it could be oil, but that's pretty cool. Oh man, I can't wait till helicopters are properly in this game. Okay. Interesting to see what they've done with the best airport in Flight Sim. I don't remember why they chose this place, but it was so fun to fly here. The planetarium, park, which used to be the runway, marina, which was always there. And the wetlands, and the old tower. Come over to the football stadium. Injured football player. Not too shabby. Stadium doesn't look too bad. Awesome. Alright, well let's head back to Midway. At a very slow pace. The elevated rail there. I don't know if this is the one I already flew past or not. Wow, my FPS took a dump. Ooh, she's struggling moving at these speeds. She was doing much better when I wasn't moving this fast. 118 knots. 120. Back up to 15, 13 FPS. Still looks pretty good, so I'm not too unhappy. I just wish it was better, considering the load times and the amount of stuff this thing should already have in my memory from my journey flying the other way. Don't mind me, flight for life. I think that one up there on the right is the one I went and saw last time. Alright, I'm going to start throttling back. Pulled back too much on the stick. Still got 3 miles to go, so I don't need to stop, but... So in FSX, everything on the ground felt very flat, whereas this feels much more dynamic. And it makes it a much more believable experience that I'm actually here over these neighborhoods, seeing what I'm seeing on the ground. The textures and some of the modeling may not be perfect, but considering what it is and the achievement of this, this makes it much more appreciable to go in and go, wow, I'm actually flying over a three-dimensional Chicago. I can get this thing on the ground now. Not bad. FPS certainly jumped once I hit the ground. Houses right here don't look great, and the trees being in the street, but hey. Alright, let's get over to Midway. I'm impressed overall. I think it's a good start. It's far from perfect. I think most of my complaints are just on the flight model, which I already had problems with the flight model in this game anyway, so nothing really on the developers. They just need to make things drift a little better like a real helicopter, like this rudder. This is what an airplane's rudder would do, and they're working within the system they've got, so that's not a complaint of mine. It's just this is how an airplane would handle, not a helicopter. Alright, we're on the ground. I don't know where any of the battery controls are in this thing to turn this thing off. Visually, fantastic. I think they've done a fabulous job with the model itself. I believe it looks amazing. It handles not the best, but it's intuitive. It does fly like a helicopter for the most part, so if you have any experience flying any sort of helicopter in any video game, you'll kind of get the hang of it. Just don't expect it to work quite right. They've got some work to do, but I think they have a fantastic start from this. Look-wise, I'd say 10 out of 10. Flight-wise, maybe a 5 out of 10, and internal functionality, another 4 or 5 out of 10 right now. It is still in development, so don't let this be any sort of negative aspect from it. They've got a ways to go. They're releasing versions fairly frequently, but I look forward to them getting this thing more in place and ready to go. Hope you found that interesting. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.